On this episode, I talk about 23, Michael Jordan, and great Assam tea. Welcome to episode 23 of the PMD Tea Buyers Club. Fun fact about the number 23, Carissa was born on the 23rd. I met her on the 23rd. I was living in a house that had the number 23 on it at the time. And we also got engaged on the 23rd, and my brother was born on the 23rd. Is that about it for 23? I think that's about it, isn't it? Yeah. And then also, Michael Jordan used to wear 23 for the Chicago Bulls, and that's why everyone seems to like 23. But for episode 23 of the PMD Tea Buyers Club, we're going to go out of Sri Lanka, still talking black tea, but we're talking about Assam tea, and I've got a pretty special tea that I found some time back. And we've just got it into the company, and I want to talk to you guys about it today. But before I get onto it, I want to talk about Assam tea in general. Assam is a region in India. It is one of the first, it is the first region in India that was planted with tea. And while a British gentleman was out in the interior of China looking for tea seeds, they found it growing wild in Assam, and this is where you get the two differences in the tea bush. You have Camelia Sinesis, otherwise known as China Jack, and then you have Camelia Sinesis Assamica, or Assamica, whichever way you wish to pronounce it, that was found growing wild in Assam. And this is the exact varietal of leaf that we have growing in Sri Lanka. And if you have black tea, you will have, your tea would have come from an Assamica plant, because the leaf is a lot larger, and when you manufacture it, you get a much more robuster, blacker tea. Whereas with Sinensis variety leaves, they're thinner, and when you manufacture them, you get a much thinner bodied cup of black tea. So if you want a thick, robust cup of black tea, start off with an Assamica plant. And if you want robust teas that are very thick and very malty, there's nowhere better to look than the Assam region of India. Now, one thing you've got to understand with India is that India has over 1 billion people in it. It's the world's second largest producer of tea. China is the first. Again, they rank in with over 1 billion people. So the majority of both China and India's teas that are produced are used up for home market consumption because they have such a large population. Whereas in Sri Lanka and in Kenya, the populations are much smaller, and it's complete. And the focus of manufacture is aimed completely at export. So Sri Lanka has a population of just over 20 million people. To put that into context, that is the size of Delhi. So one city in India is the whole size of Sri Lanka as a population. So the products that we produce are completely geared towards exports, whereas in India they're completely geared mainly towards home market consumption. However, in saying that, a small proportion of them are made for the export market, and when they do make for the export market, they do make some very quality teas. So I want to start off with a Assam tea that has been sent to us. Now, the first two that I'm going to show you are blends and mixtures, and this is what you find on the market currently, and this is what a lot of you may have tasted, may have drunk. Here's the first Assam that I've got here in my hand. FBOP style leaf with a little bit of tip. Nice wiry curl on it, but one thing I'm seeing is that there is a little greyish sheen to some of these leaves, which kind of tells me that it's been over-sifted. Let's give this a quick sniff. The bouquet isn't very strong. You're not getting a big multi-hit like I expected to sort of get. Let's see how it actually tastes. Let's have a look, before we get on to what the cups look like, let's get on and have a look at the next leaf. Well, this one here, a lot more tip to the leaf. Black tip with a lot of black leaf. Comes off the hand, has a silky feel, but not great. Tiny bit of stalk in here. Like that, not too bad. Let's have a go at the actual nose of this tea. A little bit more of a malty hint, slight chocolate-like smell coming through in the leaf. With Assam teas, because Assam are known for their bulldozer type strength, in fact I'm going to get rid of that. Make my job a bit easier to sort of sifting through tea today. The final tea that I've got is the special one. Now this is from Halmari estate in India. It's in the upper part of the Assam region, and I first got to know about Halmari estate when I was doing a tea tasting at Harrods, and I asked one of the salesmen, I said, hey look, out of all your Assams that you've got here, what is the Assam that if I taste will blow me away? He said to me that it's their Halmari Gold, and if I taste this tea, I will be very impressed with it. So I took home a sample, and to be honest, I was very impressed with it. I was very, very impressed. It hit me as a wonderful tea, and I'm very glad to have a sample of it here today. And this is the leaf. Smaller leaf grade, golden tippy broken orange pepper, comes off the hand like silk, littered with golden tip. Now the way that you get golden tip is obviously the tip from the actual bush that we pluck. But when you manufacture, you always go for a lighter manufacture. You don't put a heavy roll when you're rolling the tea, as you do with a lot of the upcountry teas that we make in Sri Lanka. This is a lot like our New Ethanakanda tea manufacture, where you're putting a lighter roll, a lighter pressure on the roll to preserve that tip. And it has a wonderful leaf to it, very silky. The actual black leaf is very black. I'm going to give it a quick sniff. Wonderful bouquet, big nose on this, a lot of chocolate-like flavour. It almost smells like dark chocolate. To be honest, if I closed my eyes and you ran this across my nose, I would think that I was smelling chocolate. That's what this tea smells like to me. I'm really looking forward to tasting this one. Let's have a look at the actual infusions themselves. Now this is the first Assam that we have here. Fusion isn't very bright. This is what you call a dull infusion. Now I talked about this before. This is an example of a dull infusion. As a taster, it tells us that, you know, it doesn't have the characteristics that we would be looking for. I'm going to give it a quick sniff. Big malty nose coming through. Big malty nose coming out in that. On the other hand, the middle one, lot brighter in fact. If I compare the two, you can see the difference in the two of them. This is the first one that I had, that I've got in my right hand. Let's give this one a quick sniff. Not a lot of aroma coming out of that. Slight malty hint, but that's about it. But then if I look at the final one, the Halmari, you can see just off the bat, very bright, very coppery, little hint of green. That infusion is everything that you want to be. It ticks all the boxes. It's what you want to see when you're looking at buying good tea. It ticks everything. It's bright, has a light coppery infusion to it, and it has a little green hint as well in some of the leaves. If I compare it to the first one, look at the difference. Look at the difference. Now this is the difference between great tea in my left hand and average mediocre tea. I don't know how it's going to taste on my right. This is the difference. This is what a great infusion should look like. This is it here from the Halmari. This is how you make great tea. Let's have a look at the actual cups themselves, guys. First cup, very thick, lot of body in this cup, slight golden rim to it, very thick. Let's give this tea a taste. Very thick. It's been some time, but it's been a lot of time since that's happened. Anyone who's just started watching the show, I just got a big right hook from Malty Mike. Very malty. Very thick body. It really coats your palate. In fact, can I get some water? Very thick palate. A lot of body on it. Slight astringent taste to it as well. Slight astringent taste. I'm going to give it another go. Very, very thick. It's a slight burnt note coming right at the back of your palate, and it seems to be a little over-fired actually. Let's have a go at the next one. Next cup, here it is. Very thick, much thicker than the first one. Slightly starting to cream down a bit. Let's give this one a go. Very thick cup, much thicker. Pass. That is not a nice cup of tea at all. Very one-dimensional. Astringent in the mid to back palate. There's a slight, more than the first, I thought the first one was a lot better. Slight overfiring in the actual leaf itself. No. It's not really the best tea that we've chosen here for episode 23, is it? Now, down to the final cup from Halmari. This is what you call a great tea. Look at the colour of this cup, guys. I'm going to bring over the first one just to show you. So this is the first tea that we had. Look at the brightness in that cup. Very bright tea. Now look at this one. Look at the colour change in this tea. This is what we call creaming, and this doesn't happen with every tea. It does not happen with every tea that you manufacture, but when it does happen, it tells someone who looks at the tea that it's been manufactured very well. And if you see this, it means that you're drinking a very good tea. This, I think, will taste wonderful, and I'm going to give it a go right now. Big cream on it, golden rim around the cup. Wow. If there's one thing that you guys do for the whole of this year, and there's one thing that you spend on, make sure it's that. That is an amazing tea. I'm going to taste it once more. Wow. It's a very thick tea, full-bodied, very brisk, but you don't get the astringency that you get in the other two teas. It's almost like tasting a big chocolatey note on this. It's almost like tasting hot chocolate with marshmallows in it. You get this chocolatey note at the tip of your tongue, but then it's almost like putting marshmallows, like stuffing your mouth full of marshmallows, because that's how it just, the body of this tea cuddles your mouth. It feels wonderful. And I think if you add a bit of milk to this, it'll just give it a bit more of a creamier effect. You can either have it plain or you can have it with milk, but I highly recommend that you do both. But this is a wonderful tea, and this is going to be the first Assam tea that we will offer on the PMD tea website. I highly recommend that you guys try this tea. If you like to have strong, full-bodied, brisk teas, try out this Halmari tea from the Assam region in India. It will benchmark any other Assam that you have ever tasted. I was thoroughly impressed when I first ever tasted tea from this estate. I'm even more impressed today, and when you compare it to what else is on the market, it's like chalk and cheese, guys. It's completely different. It's like clouds and dirt. It's in a league of its own. So let's rate up today's teas. Well, the tea that's definitely going to go up here is the Halmari. The one that I thought was terrible was the one in the middle. Very overfired. The first one, it was alright, but it's in a completely different league of the Halmari. It's like comparing Kumar Sangakkara's batting to, I don't know, a lot of the other players that are playing cricket. It's like comparing Barcelona to any of the other football teams. It's like trying to compare, you know, a Fortune 500 company with, you know, with a failing business that has, you know, all the hallmarks leading to disaster. This is an amazing tea. If it's the one thing that you buy for the whole of this year or the whole of this month, make it this Halmari tea. You have got to try this tea. If you love tea, this is a tea that you must try. Guys, check out Wednesday. Every Wednesday from now until I have no idea when the series will end, but we're starting a series called Tea Talk. It's my keynote from the Old Course Hotel that we shot back in November. That'll be coming out every Wednesday. Part 1 drops tomorrow because obviously it's Tuesday today, and then we'll run that every day onwards till we finish the entire keynote. So you can watch it in parts. I think the first episode is like 15 minutes long. Follow me on Instagram because I'm going to be putting up some of these teas so you can see the leaves much closer and get an idea of what it is when I mean by creaming, if you're not seeing it coming through in the actual video here itself. And as ever, guys, thank you for watching the PMD Tea Buyers Club, and subscribe to the channel.